totally wasn't. Stop calling me little bands. I totally wasn't. I totally wasn't just like kind of vibing, kind of, you know, maybe falling back to sleep a little. No, not. Shut up. I'm not little bands. Let's get some music. Hi, cuties. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. Of course, I still have the cough drop in right now. Oh, I see a shotgun. I see a food. I see a carrot. He's probably going back to work. Loki. Stock. Uni. Cough drop ASMR. Let's go. I do see you. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know how to say your name. Oh god. Firulace? Blah blah blah. I'm so good at pronouncing things. I gotta at least start the stream before you can fall asleep. Another 24-hour stream, but no. 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 No, no, no. No, no. I've told y'all that would be like like in actuality it'd be like 18 hours of sleep / nap and like 6 hours of actual stream. First time here, what do you okay Carrie, you need to go back to I was about to say go back to sleep. I had a big nap. You need to go back to work. Goonerologist, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you for the follow. I hope you're doing good. That's a great name. That's a good name. Variety streamer, but she discusses mostly stinky things like carrots and what? Hams and shrimp and fish eat mate. No. Only carrots, a stinky one in there. I'm here in spirit, guys. Still better than what came to say. Oh, I'm Metis. I hope you feel better. I hope you get to feeling better really soon. I hope you're eating a lot of soup and stuff. Doing amazing. Great day and a happy new year. Yeah, we're so close to New Year's. But also thank you. Thank you so much, Goonerologist. Senor Gooner. Why are you bonking me? We're super close. Super close to New Year's. Like, yeah, it's tomorrow. For me, it's, hi, Shimpy. You're not stinky. You're not stinky. It's funny. That's why fine. Yeah, for me, it's like 3 hours away from New Year's Eve. And we were talking about it last night. I usually don't do anything crazy for New Year's. I might go out and see if I can get some like champagne or something. But I mean nothing crazy, you know. Nothing crazy. Hi, this stinky chat night. Why is it stinky chat night? You're stinky. I'm gonna stream on the phone and fall asleep to it. I hope you do. I hope you do. I was browsing through my little list of what to read for this stream, or what to start at least. You know, because I have a little list, and I was like, I really want to start Turn of the Screw. What's your New Year resolution? I don't know, honestly. Hi, Buns. Thank you for the hydrate and the stretch. with the very hot tea. Oh my god. Per usual. Lord. I want to become a giraffe? No, I don't. Yeah. Hi, Strobs. Welcome in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, really. I like just a bunch of the usual, like learn more this next year. Uh, you know, do more healthy things and um try not to yell at Carrot as much. I don't know. mm, but yeah, food please. Yell at Carrot more. Carrot's like the one that usually yells at me though. Let's be real. Let's be so real right now. Yeah. Yeah. Uh New model like regarding Twitch. Yeah, we the goal, the ultimate goal for as far as my big thing is I want to first figure out who to hire for my model artist and ow, and rigor. Why would you throw things at me? Um and I would, because that takes a lot of time and stuff. Um and yeah, have potentially have that model ready sometime next year. Potentially, hopefully. So yeah. Because as much as adorable as this one is, and as super cute as the other two that I have are, like I think it's time. I think it's time, and I'm so excited for that. Um, yeah, Buns, were you here for the character art reveal? Because I showed the evolution of Dreamy with that. If you weren't, I'm gonna show it anyway. Because I love it. Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah, Dreamy for sure is staying around. Dreamy is just gonna be more, yeah. Dreamy's gonna be my kitty goose, like, our little mascot or whatever. My pal, my bud. But yeah, this is the reference art that I got. And I love it. I love it so much. The face, the hair is perfect. Like yeah. I know. I really, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think it's a good match. I, excuse me. I took a lot of time to, I know, there's always a crunch. Hi, Mai. Yeah, I took a lot of time to give that artist that drew that a lot of good references as far as like what I was kind of like aiming for, and I think they captured it really well. Person, that artwork is pretty good. Oh, I know, Dreamy looks amazing. Like I'm real excited for that. Night Buns. Thank you for the lick. But yeah, if I don't know if y'all have seen Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix. If you haven't, I highly recommend. Yeah, Ghost Kitty's adorable. Hi, Burger Ham Lincoln. That's a cute name. That's a real cute name. Yeah, if you have seen Haunting of Bly Manor, or I know that emote's great. Or I mean, I recommend like that one, Honey of Hill House, all of those. But this book that we're going to read, we're going to start tonight, called Turn of the Screw by Henry James, is kind of the basis of Haunting of Bly Manor. And I finally finished watching it sometime this year and was like, yes, yes. Ugh. Oh, that was gross. Ugh. No, I don't think Dreamy will get the witch hat. No, I don't think so. The witch hat's just because this ghost model has this this little ghost pet has that. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're gonna start reading. This one is on the longer side, I think. So it should take a good few streams, I believe. Let me see. There are 24 chapters, so yeah. Well, I guess technically 25. Okay. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Currently sick. I got sick from my nephew. Oh no. Oh, I hope you feel better, Civic. The story had held us round the fire, sufficiently breathless, but except the obvious remark that it was gruesome, as on Christmas Eve in an old house, a strange tale should essentially be. I remember no comment uttered till somebody happened to say that. Excuse me, my throat, my lord. Till somebody happened to say that it was the only case he had met in which such a visitation had fallen on a child. The case, I may mention, was that of an apparition in just such an old house as had gathered us for the occasion. An appearance of a dreadful kind, to a little boy sleeping in the room with his mother and waking her up in the terror of it. Waking her not to dissipate his dread and soothe him to sleep again, but to encounter also herself, before she had succeeded in doing so, the same sight that had shaken him. It was this observation that drew from Douglas, not immediately, but later in the evening, a reply that had the interesting consequence to which I call attention. Someone else told a story not particularly effective, which I saw he was not following. This I took for a sign that he had himself something to produce, and that we should only have to wait. We waited, in fact, till 2 nights later, but that same evening, before we scattered, he brought out what was in his mind. Baked Naruto, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Wisconsin Bear, thank you too for the follow. I hope you're both doing really good. My, with a 3-stream streak, let's go. I know 3 streams already. Okay. I quite agree, in regard to Griffin's ghost, or whatever it was, that its appearing first to the little boy, at so tender an age, adds a particular touch. But it's not the first occurrence of its charming kind that I know to have involved a child. If a child gives the effect another turn of the screw, what do you say to 2 children? Hi. That name. Hi, Chunky. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome in. Hi, Shrooms. We say, of course, somebody exclaimed, that they give 2 turns. Also, that we want to hear about them. I can see Douglas there before the fire, to which he had got up to present his back, looking down at his interlocutor, looking down at his interlocutor with his hands in his pockets. Nobody but me, till now, has ever heard. It's quite too horrible. This, naturally, was declared by several voices to give the thing the utmost price, and our friend, with quiet art, prepared his triumph by turning his eyes over the rest of us and going on. It's beyond everything. Nothing at all that I know touches it. I'm not body shaming, chat. What do you mean? I'm not body shaming. Interlocutor means someone who partake in a discussion or conversation. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. Where are we? For sheer terror, I remember asking. He seemed to say it was not so simple as that, to be really at a loss how to qualify it. He passed his hand over his eyes, made a little wincing grimace. For dreadfulness. Oh, how delicious, cried one of the women. He took no notice of her. He looked at me, but as if, instead of me, he saw what he spoke of. For general uncanny ugliness and horror and pain. Well then, I said, just sit right down and begin. Apex Bolt, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Yeah, learn something new every day. I'm all about broadening the brain span. Well, changing the smooth brain into a not so smooth brain, you know. Hi, Raccoon. Go for a nutter butter right now. Hi, and crowned. Welcome in. He turned round to the fire, gave a kick to a log, watched it at an instant. Then as he faced us again, I can't begin. I shall have to send to town. There was a unanimous groan at this, and much reproach, after which, in his preoccupied way, he explained, "The story's written. It's in a locked drawer. It has not been out for years. I could write to my man and enclose the key. He could send down the packet as he finds it." It was to me in particular that he appeared to propound this, appeared almost to appeal for aid, not to hesitate. He had broken a thickness of ice, the formation of many a winter, had had his reasons for a long silence. The others resented postponement, but it was just his scruples that charmed me. I adjured him to write by the first post and to agree with us for an early hearing. Then I asked him if the experience in question had been his own. To this his answer was prompt. "Oh, thank God, no." "And is the record yours? You took the thing down?" "Nothing but the impression. I took that here." He tapped his heart. "I've never lost it." "Then your manuscript." Thank you for the hydrate emotion. Okay, yeah, not time for tea yet. Oh my God. It's so hot. We'll just swap that to my water. Oh, that's better. Okay. is in old, faded ink, and in the most beautiful hand he hung fire again. A woman's. She has been dead these 20 years. She sent me the pages in question before she died. They were all listening now. And of course, there was somebody to be arch, or at any rate to draw the inference. But if he put the inference by without a smile, it was also without irritation. She was a most charming person, but she was 10 years older than I. She was my sister's governess, he quietly said. She was the most agreeable woman I've ever known in her position. She would have been worthy of any whatever. Aggie. Inference, yeah. Did I mispronounce? Don't feel bad if you have to correct me. Y'all are used to it by now. mm. Hi, Aggie. Good morning. Inference? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, genuinely, I do. We had other... Yeah, like I've always said Kunmas, like Kun. Frighten. 5 stream streak, let's fucking go. How Banshee pronounces is how everyone should that's a lie. Let's see. So, she was the most agreeable woman I've ever known in her position. She would have been worthy of any whatever. It was long ago, and this episode was long ago, or long before. I was at Trinity, and I found her at home on my coming down the second summer. I was much there that year. It was a beautiful one, and we had, in her off hours, some strolls and talks in the garden. Talks in which she struck me as awfully clever and nice. Oh, yes, don't grin. I liked her extremely, and I'm glad to this day to think she liked me too. If she hadn't, she wouldn't have told me. She had never told anyone. It wasn't simply that she said so, but that I knew she hadn't. I was sure. I could see. You'll easily judge why when you hear. Because the thing had been such a scare? He continued to fix me. You'll easily judge, he repeated. You will. I fixed him too. I see. She was in love. He laughed for the first time. You are a cute. Yes, she was in love. That is, she had been. That came out. She couldn't tell her story without its coming out. I saw it, and she saw I saw it, but neither of us spoke of it. I remember the time and the place, the corner of the lawn, the shade of the great beeches and the long, hot summer afternoon. It wasn't a scene for a shudder, but, oh. He quitted the fire and dropped back into his chair. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Kun, I got you. Like in diacritic markings and stuff because I always forget to. Being open to corrections, I always enjoy being able to teach in form. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I would feel bad if I kept mispronouncing things, which I do a lot. And chat was just like, just let me do it. Like, no, correct me, please. help me learn. Help me grow. You'll receive the packet Thursday morning, I inquired. Probably not till the second post. Well then, after dinner. You'll all meet me here? He looked us round again. Isn't anybody going? It was almost the tone of hope. Everybody will stay. I will, and I will, cried the ladies whose departure had been fixed. Mrs. Griffin, however, expressed the need for a little more light. Who was it she was in love with? The story will tell, I took upon myself to reply. Oh, I can't wait for the story. The story won't tell, said Douglas. Not in any literal, vulgar way. It's pronounced free carrot. Stop it. 5 minutes until cuckoo clock. Mom adjusted it a little today, so who knows? Honestly, who knows? More's the pity, then. That's the only way I ever understand. Won't you tell, Douglas? Somebody else inquired. He sprang to his feet again. Yes, tomorrow. Now I must go to bed. Good night. And quickly catching up a candlestick, he left us slightly bewildered. From our end of the great brown hall, we heard his step on the stair, whereupon Mrs. Griffin spoke. Well, if I don't know who she was in love with, I know who he was. She was 10 years older, said her husband. Oh God, I don't know how to say this. Raison de plus at that age. But it's rather nice, his long reticence. 40 years, Griffin put in, with his outbreak at last. Enderwoman, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. It's a French term, it looks like. Here. That's the term. Which, you know, by context is like, oh my goodness, it looks like. Spell it. It. The first time, it's been 3 years. That's funny. Oh no. The outbreak, I returned, will make a tremendous occasion of Thursday night. And everyone so agreed with me that, in the light of it, we lost all attention for everything else. The last story, however incomplete and like the mere opening of a serial, had been told. We handshook and candle stuck, as somebody said, and went to bed. I knew the next day that a letter containing the key had, by the first post, gone off to his London apartments. But in spite of, or perhaps just on account of, the eventual diffusion of this knowledge, we quite let him alone till after dinner, till such an honor of the evening, in fact, as might best accord the kind of emotion on which our hopes were fixed. Then he became as communicative as we could desire, and indeed gave us his best reason for being so. We had it from him again, before the fire in the hall, as we had had our mild wonders of the previous night. It appeared that the narrative he had promised to read us really required for a proper intelligence a few words of prologue. Let me say here distinctly, to have done with it, that this narrative, from an exact transcript of my own made much later, is what I shall presently give. Poor Douglas, before his death, when it was in sight, committed to me the manuscript that reached him, excuse me, that reached him on the third of these days, and that, on the same spot, with immense effect, he began to read to our hushed little circle on the night of the 4th. The departing ladies who had said they would stay didn't, of course, thank heaven, stay. They departed in consequence of arrangements made, in a rage of curiosity, as they professed, produced by the touches with which he had already worked us up. But that only made his little final auditory more compact and select, kept it round the hearth, subject to a common thrill. Blue with the 3-stream streak. What is this? What is this? So it's used to add weight to a decision or argument. It means all the more reason. Oh, okay, okay. Okay. The first of these touches conveyed that the written statement took up the tale at a point after it had, in a manner, begun. The fact to be in possession of was, therefore, that his old friend, the youngest of several daughters of a poor country parson, had, at the age of 20, on taking service for the first time in the schoolroom, come up to London, in trepidation, to answer in person an advertisement that had already placed her in brief correspondence with the advertiser. This This person proved, on her presenting herself for judgment at a house in Harley Street that impressed her as vast and imposing, this prospective patron proved a gentleman, a bachelor in the prime of life, such a figure as had never risen, save in a dream or an old novel, before a fluttered, anxious girl out of a Hampshire vicarage. One could easily fix his type. It never, happily, dies out. He was handsome and bold and pleasant, offhand and gay and kind. He struck her, inevitably, as gallant and splendid. But what took her most of all and gave her the courage she afterward showed was that he put the whole thing to her as a kind of favor, an obligation he should gratefully incur. She conceived him as rich, but as fearfully extravagant, saw him all in a glow of high fashion, of good looks, of expensive habits, of charming ways with women. He had for his own town residence a big house filled with the spoils of travel and the trophies of the chase, but it was to his country home, an old family place in Essex, that he wished her immediately to proceed. He had been left, by the death of their parents in India, guardian to a small nephew and a small niece, children of a younger, a military brother, whom he had lost 2 years before. These children were, by the strangest of chances for a man in his position, a lone man without the right sort of experience or a grain of patience, very heavily on his hands. It had all been a great worry It had all been a great worry, and, on his own part doubtless, a series of blunders. But he immensely pitied the poor chicks, and had done all he could. Had in particular sent them down to his other house, the proper place for them being, of course, the country, and kept them there from the first, with the best people he could find to look after them, parting even with his own servants to wait on them and going down himself, whenever he might, to see how they were doing. The awkward thing was that they had practically no other relations, and that his own affairs took up all his time. He had put them in possession of Bly, which was wealthy, healthy and secure, and had placed at the head of their little establishment, but below stairs only, an excellent woman, Mrs. Gross, whom he was sure his visitor would like, and who had formerly been maid to his mother. She was now housekeeper, and was also acting for the time as superintendent to the little girl, of whom, without children of her own, she was, by good luck, extremely fond. There were plenty of people to help, but of course the young lady who should go down as governess would be in supreme authority. She would also have, in holidays, to look after the small boy, who had been for a term at school, young as he was to be sent, but what else could be done? And who, as the holidays were about to begin, would be back from one day to the other. There had been for the two children at first a young lady whom they had had the misfortune to lose. She had done for them quite beautifully. She was a most respectable person, till her death, the great awkwardness of which had precisely left no alternative but the school for little Miles. Mrs. Gross, since then, in the way of manners and things, had done as she could for Flora. And there were, further, a cook, a housemaid, a dairy woman, an old pony, an old groom, and an old gardener, all likewise thoroughly respectable. Jorge Jonas, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Hi, Cosmo. Yeah. Yeah, thank y'all for pinning that. That'll help. That'll help. So far had Douglas presented his picture when someone put a question. And what did the former governess die of? Of so much respectability? Our friend's answer was prompt. That will come out. I don't anticipate. Excuse me. I thought that was just what you are doing. In her successor's place, I suggested. I should have wished to learn it, if the office brought with it necessary danger to life. Douglas completed my thought. She did wish to learn, and she did learn. You shall hear tomorrow what she learned. Meanwhile, of course, the prospect struck her as slightly grim. She was young, untried, nervous. It was a version of serious duties and little company, of really great loneliness. She hesitated, took a couple of days to consult and consider. Excuse me, but the salary offered much exceeded her modest measure, and on a second interview she faced the music she engaged, and Douglas, with this, made a pause that, for the benefit of the company, moved me to throw in. The moral of which was, of course, the seduction exercised by this splendid young man. She succumbed to it. He got up and, as he had done the night before, went to the fire, gave a stir to a log with his foot, then stood a moment with his back to us. She saw him only twice. Yes, but that's just the beauty of her passion. Hi, Solid. This choice first, or please. Mm. A little to my surprise on this, Douglas turned round to me. It was the beauty of it. There were others, he went on, who hadn't succumbed. He told her frankly all his difficulty. That's for several applicants the conditions had been prohibitive. They were, somehow, simply afraid. It sounded dull. It sounded strange, and all the more so because of his main condition, which was that she should never trouble him, but never, never, neither appeal nor complain nor write about anything. Only meet all questions herself, receive all moneys from his solicitor, take the whole thing over and let him alone. She promised to do this, and she mentioned to me that when, for a moment, disburdened, delighted, he held her hand, thanking her for the sacrifice, she already felt rewarded. But was that all her reward? One of the ladies asked. She never saw him again. Oh, said the lady, which, as our friend immediately left us again, was the only other word of importance contributed to the subject till, the next night, by the corner of the hearth, in the best chair, he opened the faded red cover of a thin, old-fashioned, gilt-edged album. The whole thing took indeed more nights than one, but on the first occasion, the same lady put another question. What is your title? I haven't one. Oh, I have, I said. But Douglas, without heeding me, had begun to read with a fine clearness that was like a rendering to the ear of the beauty of his author's hand. I'll edit a pun compilation with Carnival Night Act 1 playing over it. Thank you so much for the hydrate, Nikki. Ugh, I tell y'all, allergies just always, forever. I hate it. So in the process of learning Outbreak, I met some official content people for it. Really? Oh, that's crazy, Kate. That's crazy. I was watching a video, like gameplay of it, a little, like at some point today, and was like, oh, it looks so fun. It looks so fun. Okay. One has a decaling game, the other is a QA test. Oh, that's cute. That's cool. That's so cool. Just out of it tonight. That's okay, Shadow. Thank you for the lick. Okay. And now we're officially on chapter 1. I remember the whole beginning as a succession of flights and drops, a little seesaw of the right throbs and the wrong. After rising in town to meet his appeal, I had at all events a couple of very bad days. Found myself doubtful again, felt indeed sure I had made a mistake. In this state of mind, I spent the long hours of bumping, swinging coach that carried me to the stopping place at which I was to be met by a vehicle from the house. This convenience, I was told, had been ordered, and I found, toward the close of the June afternoon, a commodious fly in waiting for me. Driving at that hour, on a lovely day, through a country to which the summer sweetness seemed to offer me a friendly welcome, my fortitude mounted afresh, and, as we turned into the avenue, encountered a reprieve that was probably but a proof of the point to which it had sunk. I suppose I had expected or had dreaded something so melancholy that what greeted me was a good surprise. I remember as a most pleasant impression the broad, clear front, its open windows and fresh curtains, and the pair of maids looking out. I remember the lawn and the bright flowers, and the crunch of my wheels on the gravel, and the clustered treetops over which the rooks circled and cawed in the golden sky. The scene had a greatness that made it a different affair from my own scant home, and there immediately appeared at the door, with a little girl in her hand, a civil person who dropped me as decent a curtsy as if I had been the mistress or a distinguished visitor. I had received in Harley Street a narrower notion of the place, and that, as I recalled it, made me think the proprietor still more of a gentleman, suggested that what I was to enjoy might be something beyond his promise. Hi, Super Slide. Welcome in. Oh, did you get Outbreak Coon? And save up enough to upgrade the car to something that can actually off-road on proper. Oh, that's cool. That's so cool. You start with a glorified Honda Civic, yeah. I had no drop again till the next day, for I was carried triumphantly through the following hours by my introduction to the younger of my pupils. The little girl who accompanied Mrs. Gross appeared to me on the spot a creature so charming as to make it a great fortune to have to do with her. She was the most beautiful child I had ever seen, and I afterward wondered that my employer had not told me more of her. I slept little that night. I was too much excited, and this astonished me too, I recollect, remained with me, adding to my sense of the liberality with which I was treated. The large, impressive room, one of the best in the house, the great state bed, as I almost felt it, the full figured draperies, the long glasses in which, for the first time, I could see myself from head to foot, all struck me, like the extraordinary charm of my small charge, as so many things thrown in. It was thrown in as well, from the first moment, that I should get on with Mrs. Gross in a relation over which, on my way, in the coach, I fear I had rather brooded. The only thing indeed that, in this early outlook, might have made me shrink again was the clear circumstance of her being so glad to see me. I perceived within half an hour that she was so glad. Stout, simple, plain, clean, wholesome woman, as to be positively on her guard against showing it too much. I wondered even then a little why she should wish not to show it, and that, with reflection, with suspicion, might of course have made me uneasy. Can I RP as a tornado? Colonel in game, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope we're doing good. To get it so we can have private groups. Yes. 4 people do private, otherwise you get tossed in the public. Which apparently brings some ERP from what I heard from Carrot. Someone hit me with the got yup. Thing I've ever seen is in my home made out of what? Oh my god. Oh, that sounds amazing, Civic. That sounds so good. But it was a comfort that there could be no uneasiness in a connection with anything so beatific as the radiant image of my little girl, The vision of whose angelic beauty had probably more than anything else to do with the restlessness that, before morning, made me several times rise and wander about my room to take in the whole picture and prospect, to watch from my open window the faint summer dawn, to look at such portions of the rest of the house as I could catch, and to listen while, in the fading dusk, the first birds began to twitter, for the possible recurrence of a sound or two, less natural and not without, but within, than I had fancied I heard. There had been a moment when I believed I recognized, faint and far, the cry of a child. There had been another when I found myself just consciously starting, as at the passage before my door of a light step. But these fancies were not marked enough not to be thrown off, and it is only in the light, or the gloom, I should rather say, of other and subsequent matters that they now come back to me. To watch, teach, form little Flora would too evidently be the making of a happy and useful life. It had been agreed between us downstairs that, after this first occasion, I should have her as a matter of course at night, her small white bed being already arranged, to that end, in my room. What I had undertaken was the whole care of her, and she had remained, just this last time, with Mrs. Gross only as an effect of our consideration for my inevitable strangeness and her natural timidity. In spite of this timidity, which the child herself in the oddest way in the world had been perfectly frank and brave about, allowing it, without a sign of uncomfortable consciousness, with a deep, sweet serenity indeed of one of Raphael's holy infants, to be discussed, to be imputed to her, and to determine us. I feel quite sure she would presently like me. It was part of what I already liked Mrs. Gross herself for, the pleasure I could see her feel in my admiration and wonder as I sat at supper with 4 tall candles and with my pupil, in a high chair and a bib, brightly facing me, between them, over bread and milk. There were naturally things that in Flora's presence could pass between us only as prodigious and gratified looks, obscure and roundabout allusions. And the little boy, does he look like her? Is he too so very remarkable? One wouldn't flatter a child. Oh, miss, most remarkable. If you think well of this one, and she stood there with a plate in her hand, beaming at our companion, who looked from one of us to the other with placid, heavenly eyes that contained nothing to check us. Yes, if I do. You will be carried away by the little gentleman. Hey, Schnelly, welcome in. Gonna hit this one out of the park. Oh, God. It pinged that emotes. Well, that, I think, is what I came for, to be carried away. I'm afraid, however, I remember feeling the impulse to add, I'm rather easily carried away. I was carried away in London. I can still see Mrs. Gross's broad face as she took this in Harley Street. In Harley Street. Well, miss, you're not the first, and you won't be the last. Oh, I've no pretension, I could laugh, to being the only one. My other pupil, at any rate, as I understand, comes back tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Friday, miss. He arrives, as you did, by the coach, under care of the guard, and is to be met by the same carriage. Mm. Mm. I hope you're all nice and comfy. I forthwith expressed that the proper as well as the pleasant and friendly thing would be therefore that on the arrival of the public conveyance I should be in waiting for him with his little sister, an idea in which Mrs. Gross concurred so heartily that I somehow took her manner as a kind of comforting pledge, never falsified, thank heaven, that we should on every question be quite at one. Oh, she was glad I was there. Vox, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing really good. What I felt the next day was, I suppose, nothing that could be fairly called a reaction from the cheer of my arrival. It was probably at the most only a slight oppression produced by a fuller measure of the scale. As I walked round them, gazed up at them, took them in, of my new circumstances, they had, as it were, an extent and mass for which I had not been prepared, and in the presence of which I found myself, freshly, a little scared as well as a little proud. Lessons in this agitation certainly suffered some delay. I reflected that my first duty was, by the gentlest arts I could contrive, to win the child into the sense of knowing me. I spent the day with her out of doors. I arranged with her, to her great satisfaction, that it should be she only, who might show me the place. She showed it, step by step, and room by room, and secret by secret, with droll, delightful, childish talk about it, and with the result, in half an hour, of our becoming immense friends. Young as she was, I was struck, throughout our little tour, with her confidence and courage, with the way, in empty chambers and dull corridors, on crooked staircases, it made me pause, and even on the summit of an old, uh, machicolated, square tower that made me dizzy. Her morning music, her disposition to tell me so many more things than she asked, rang out and led me on. I have not seen Bly since the day I left it, and I dare say that to my older and more informed eyes, it would now appear sufficiently contracted. But as my little conductress, with her hair of gold and her frock of blue, danced before me round corners and pattered down passages, I had the view of a castle of romance, inhabited by a rosy sprite, such a place as would somehow, for diversion of the young idea, take all color out of storybooks and fairy tales. Wasn't it just a storybook over which I had fallen a doze in a dream? No. It was a big, ugly, antique but convenient house, embodying a few features of a building still older, half replaced and half utilized, in which I had the fancy of our being almost as lost as a handful of passengers in a great drifting ship. Well, I was, strangely, at the helm. Food or drink is sweet. There's a high chance it's quite acidic. That makes sense. That kind of checks out. My alarm is set on set. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for the lick. I hope you get some sleep. Chapter 2. Ah! Ow! Ow! Ah! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Hitmanic, what did you do? What did you do? Hitmanic, thank you so much. You sweet. You sweet fucking bean. You sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you. The 10 gifted subs, you absolute psycho. How it feels to chew 5 gum. You got 4 hours already. Okay. That's still not enough, but okay, I got it. Just tricking the hits because he is a hit me. You absolute maniac. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. Chapter 2. This came home to me when, 2 days later, I drove over with Flora to meet, as Mrs. Gross said, the little gentleman, and all the more for an incident that, presenting itself the second evening, had deeply disconcerted me. The first day had been, on the whole, as I have expressed, reassuring, but I was to see it wind up in keen apprehension. The post bag that evening, it came late, contained a letter for me which, however, in the hand of my employer, I found to be composed of a few, but of a few words enclosing another, addressed to himself, with a seal still unbroken. This, I recognize, is from the headmaster, and the headmaster's an awful bore. Read him, please. Deal with him, but mind you, don't report. Not a word. Ow! I'm off. Oh, whoops.
Hello, motherfucker.
Oh, Coon, thank you for the 100 biddies. Dead biddies. Hi, Civic. How you doing, photogenic? I broke the seal with a great effort. So great a one that I was a long time coming to it. Took the unopened missive at last up to my room and only attacked it just before going to bed. I had better have let it wait till morning, for it gave me a second sleepless night. With no counsel to take, the next day I was full of distress, and it finally got so the better of me that I determined to open myself at least to Mrs. Gross. Boo! Like, boo! What was that noise I just made? Thank you so much for the gifted. Boo! Y'all are sweet. Y'all are too sweet. I really appreciate. I can't say enough how much I appreciate. I'm gonna head out. Have a good new year. Have a good new year, Solid. Thank you for popping in. Oh, tea's still hot, but it's at least manageable. Okay. Ugh. Let me take my little sign off. I'm not being possessed, you're being possessed. Oh. You don't want to be possessed? Why not? Why not? Have you ever been possessed before? How do you know you don't want it? But also welcome in, Cubone. A ghost being possessed. It's like Inception. Impossible. Because my body's broken, I'm more sure no one else wants it. You don't know that. You never know that. No impossible, just unlikely. That kind of checks out. Okay. Now we back. Back to our bookie, back to our bookie. Has a ghost ever tried what to possess? Maybe. Maybe. But I'll never tell. Oh, to possess a ghost? Nah. Nah. That seems like asking for trouble. Oh, I have 2 sleepy kitties surrounding me. Oh, you're a fat one. You're a fat kitty. Yes, you are. My chunky orange. Yes, you are. Speaking of a ghost. What's up, Yurei? Hi. Yeah. Yurei's got an orange cat too. I've seen the orange kitty. Mine's a chonker. I do too. Yeah. Well, I have several cats, but I got an orange boy next to me. Yes, I do, baby. I have. I feel like you're gonna judge me immediately, but I have 5 cats. I have 5 cats and a dog. All of them were rescues. The mini carrot kitty, yeah. Yeah, I've called this orange guy has so many fucking nicknames. He has so many nicknames. It's kitty cat central. We literally have in our den. Aw, I love you too. In our den, we have, it's like a cat cafe. It's actually really sweet. A Cheeto, yeah. SK41, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Whole herd of rescues. Like literally, we rescued 3 of them. Okay, so one of them was from the Humane Society. She was my mom's Christmas gift 6 or 7 years ago, I think. I know. You drink coffee and the house is literally a cat cafe. It really is. It really is. But yeah, so the Siamese was my mom's. Stop. Shut up, Yuri. I swear to fucking God. Yeah, the Siamese was my mom's Christmas gift. She was from the Humane Society. Then 3 of them, yeah, three in one time. They were, the allergic person over here is living vicariously through Banshee's experience. I'm sorry you're allergic to them. I'm so sorry. They're so wonderful to have. Yeah, 3 of them were from a really big snow that we had a few years ago, and they were just sitting on my neighbor's house was abandoned at that point, and they were just sitting on like the stoop, I guess. Hi Sagi, welcome in. Miss having an orange cat. My last were attached to the hip. Oranges are something special. They are. Thank you for the hydrate. I needed that. But the 3 were just sitting on the stoop at. I'm literally an orange cat. Hi. Yeah, they were just sitting there, and it was about to snow, and it was about to snow really hard, and it was like temperatures were just gonna be impossible, and we actually built them. It's crazy to look at because I still have photos of this stuff. We built them like this like machinated house enclosure thing that like we set up to where it was actually pretty warm, all things considered, but we ended up taking them in, and I was determined to get them into their forever homes, and guess what? This is their forever home now. And then Orange Baby, the orange one was I'm literally an orange cat. That's so funny. He kind of chose us. He showed up. He kind of made my front yard his home for a while, and he had been outside for the longest time. I don't know if he was a neighbor's cat or what. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I am. I'm talking about you. Um, he's such a big. Don't you slap me. Don't slap me. Yeah, the cat distribution system absolutely did its job. Yeah, like I actually got him like an outdoor house and everything. Because at that point I was determined. I was like, no, no, we are full. We are full up in this hotel. Like, uh, yeah, I was wrong. I was lying to myself. The CDS just spammed the button on Hell's Banshee. I know, I know. I never thought I'd have this many cats at one time. Hi, Pies. From what I've heard, orange cats are either super chaotic or super chill. No, yeah, That's pretty accurate. This guy, he was like a little street urchin. I swear to God. Give me some more. Yeah, this one he took a little while to, yeah, he took a little while to get used to get used to, especially to my dog, because who knows how many times he got chased. But yeah. Yeah, you baby. You're just a baby. You're just a big jumbo shrimp. Yes, you are. You're a jumbo shrimp hobo. You are. He's got that fucking cat attitude, I swear. Yeah, you do. You're a sweetheart, though. It's okay. Oh, yeah, he did. He did settle in. He did. It just took him a while. Yeah. Big baby. Now he's a huge baby. My cat has a tsundere just like me. You never heard cat attitude? I've heard it a bunch. You get 7 dogs and 2 cats and they are all a funky bunch. I love that. Yeah, some do just take longer. Absolutely. Absolutely. Some do just take a little bit longer. A little more loving and stuff. Like it was a fight for months just to get him to keep his fucking collar on. That was one. And then he and my dog, like they're better now, but dear God, he was not thrilled to share space with the dog that probably chased him the most. No, he's too chunky to get up to the tower and turn off the PC. Yeah, you are. You are. I love them. I love them all so much. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Ugh. The anti-cat button shield, I know. I know, that would help. Thank you for the follow, Cubone. I appreciate. Alright, shall we get back to our story? Oh, Duckman, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you, thank you. What would be the briefest synopsis before we go back into reading? So we're reading The Turn of the Screw, okay? There is a show that was based off of it called Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix. It's very good. I recommend, if you ever feel like it. Hi Maury. How you doing? How you doing? But yeah, a very brief synopsis is that the story, food please. um the story is basically starting off where this governess has been hired um to take care of these two children. She was hired by the uncle of a little boy and a little girl. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. Like yeah, like she's basically been hired to like take care of this estate, this big estate. The very first part was someone retelling, like setting up this whole story, because the you know how it is, kind of like how Frankenstein had it was a story within a story. That's how this is. Like this is someone reading this story, this retelling to like a group of people by a fire. Yeah, there you go. Let me have another sip of my drink. I've been in and out, and I see some newer people joining in. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Happy to give a recap. Okay. What does it mean? The child's dismissed his school. She gave me a look that I remarked at the moment, then, visibly, with a quick blankness, seemed to try to take it back. But aren't they all? Sent home. Yes, but only for the holidays. Miles may never go back at all. Consciously, under my attention, she reddened. They won't take him? So, like right here, where the governess just got news that Miles, the nephew, the little boy, has been like kicked out of school or whatever. And she's talking to Mrs. Gross, who is like another of like the help or whatever of this estate. They absolutely decline. At this, she raised her eyes, which she had turned from me. I saw them fill with good tears. What has he done? I hesitated. Then I judged best simply to hand her my letter, which, however, had the effect of making her, without taking it, simply put her hands behind her. She shook her head sadly. Such things are not for me, miss. My counselor couldn't read. I winced at my mistake, which I attenuated as I could, and opened my letter again to repeat it to her. Then, faltering in the act and folding it up once more, I put it back in my pocket. Is he really bad? The tears were still in her eyes. Do the gentlemen say so? They go into no particulars. They simply express their regret that it should be impossible to keep him. That can have only one meaning. Mrs. Gross listened with dumb emotion. She forbore to ask me what this meaning might be, so that, presently, to put the thing with some coherence and with the mere aid of her presence to my own mind, I went on. That he's an injury to the others. Uh-oh. So the little guy's a troublemaker. At this, with one of the quick turns of simple folk, she suddenly flamed up. Master Miles, him an injury? There was such a flood of good faith in it that, though I had not yet seen the child, my very fears made me jump to the absurdity of the idea. I found myself, to meet my friend the better, offering it on the spot, sarcastically, to his poor little innocent mates. It's too dreadful, cried Mrs. Gross, to say such cruel things. Why, he's scarce 10 years old. Yes, it would be incredible. She was evidently grateful for such a profession. See him, miss, first, then believe it. I felt forthwith a new impatience to see him. It was the beginning of a curiosity that, for all the next hours, was to deepen almost to pain. Mrs. Gross was aware, I could judge, of what she had produced in me, and she followed it up with assurance. You might as well believe it of the little lady. Bless her, she added the next moment. Look at her. I turned and saw that Flora, whom 10 minutes before I had established in the schoolroom with a sheet of white paper, a pencil, and a copy of nice roundos, now presented herself to view at the open door. She expressed in her little way an extraordinary detachment from disagreeable duties, looking to me, however, with a great childish light that seemed to offer it as a mere result of the affection she had conceived for my person, which had rendered necessary that she should follow me. I needed nothing more than this to feel the full force of Mrs. Gross's comparison, and, catching my pupil in my arms, covered her with kisses in which there was a sob of atonement. Jackery, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Hi. Hi, June-sama. Welcome in. Nonetheless, the rest of the day I watched for further occasion to approach my colleague, especially as, toward evening, I began to fancy she rather sought to avoid me. I overtook her, I remember, on the staircase. We went down together, and at the bottom I detained her, holding her there with a hand on her arm. I take what you said to me at noon as a declaration that you've never known him to be bad. She threw back her head. She had clearly by this time, and very honestly, adopted an attitude. Oh, never known him. I don't pretend that. I was upset again. Then you have known him? Yes, indeed, miss. Thank God. Micah, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. On reflection, I accepted this. You mean that a boy who never is no boy for me. I held her tighter. You like them with the spirit to be naughty. Then, keeping pace with her answer, so do I eagerly brought out, but not to the degree to contaminate. To contaminate? My big word left her at a loss. I explained it. To corrupt. Dio Brando, thank you for the follow. Thank you all for the follows. Hope you're all doing just the best. Super cozy. All this stuff. She stared, taking my meaning in, but it produced in her an odd laugh. Are you afraid he'll corrupt you? She put the question with such a fine, bold humor that, with a laugh, a little silly doubtless, to match her own, I gave way for the time to the apprehension of ridicule. But the next day, as the hour for my drive approached, I cropped up in another place. What was the lady who was here before? The last governess? She was also young and pretty. Almost as young and almost as pretty, miss, even as you. Ah, then, I hope her youth and her beauty helped her, I recollect throwing off. He seems to like us young and pretty. Oh, ugh. Oh, that gave the ick. Ugh. Oh, he did, Mrs. Gross assented. It was the way he liked everyone. She had no sooner spoken indeed than she caught herself up. I mean, that's his way, the master's. I was struck. But of whom did you speak first? She looked blank, but she colored. Why, of him. Of the master? Of who else? There was so obviously no one else that the next moment I had lost my impression of her having accidentally said more than she meant, and I merely asked what I wanted to know. Did she see anything in the boy that wasn't right? She never told me. I had a scruple, but I overcame it. Was she careful? Particular? Mrs. Gross appeared to try to be conscientious. About some things, yes, but not about all. Again, she considered. Well, miss, she's gone. I won't tell tales. I quite understand your feeling, I hastened to reply, but I thought it, after an instant, not opposed to this concession to pursue. Did she die here? No. She went off. I don't know what there was in this brevity of Mrs. Gross's that struck me as ambiguous. Went off to die? Mrs. Gross looked straight out of the window, but I felt that, hypothetically, I had a right to know what young persons engaged for Bly were expected to do. She was taken ill, you mean, and went home? She was not taken ill, so far as appeared in this house. She left it, at the end of the year, to go home, as she said, for a short holiday, to which the time she had put in had certainly given her a right. We had then a young woman, a nursemaid, who had stayed on and who was a good girl and clever, and she took the children altogether for the interval. But our young lady never came back, and at the very moment I was expecting her, I heard from the master that she was dead. I turned this over. But of what? He never told me. But please, miss, said Mrs. Gross, I must get to my work. Chapter 3. Her thus turning her back on me was fortunately not, for my just preoccupations, a snub that could check the growth of our mutual esteem. We met, after I had brought home little Miles, more intimately than ever on the ground of my stupefaction, my general emotion. So monstrous was I then ready to pronounce it that such a child as had now been revealed to me should be under an interdict. It was a little late on the scene, and I was a little late on the scene, and I felt, as he stood wistfully looking out for me before the door of the inn at which the coach had put him down, that I had seen him, on the instant, without and within, in the great glow of freshness, the same positive fragrance of purity, in which I had, from the first moment, seen his little sister. He was incredibly beautiful, and Mrs. Gross had put her finger on it. Everything but a sort of passion of tenderness for him was swept away by his presence. What I then and there took him to my heart for was something divine that I have never found to the same degree in any child. His indescribable little air of knowing nothing in the world but love. It would have been impossible to carry a bad name with a greater sweetness of innocence, and by the time I had got back to Bly with him, I remained merely bewildered. So far, that is, as I was not outraged by the sense of the horrible letter locked up in my room in a drawer. As soon as I could compass a private word with Mrs. Gross, I declared to her that it was grotesque. Jesse Gardevoir, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for the follow. Mmm. Mmm. Just towards a line in the story. You know, I'd read books more if Banshee's voice was on the Audible version. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. She promptly understood me. You mean the cruel charge? It doesn't live an instant. My dear woman, look at him. She smiled at my pretension to have discovered his charm. I assure you, miss, I do nothing else. What will you say then? She immediately added. In answer to the letter, I had made up my mind. Nothing. And to his uncle? I was incisive. Nothing. And to the boy himself? I was wonderful. Nothing. She gave with her apron a great wipe to her mouth. Then I'll stand by you. We'll see it out. We'll see it out, I ardently echoed, giving her my hand to make it a vow. She held me there a moment, then whisked up her apron again with her detached hand. Would you mind, miss, if I used the freedom to kiss me? No. I took the good creature in my arms and, after we had embraced like sisters, felt still more fortified and indignant. This, at all events, was for the time, a time so full that, as I recall the way it went, it reminds me of all the art I now need to make it a little distinct. What I look back at with amazement is the situation I accepted. I had undertaken. Music's going a little heavy for this. I love this music, but we're gonna go to this just to have something going in the background that's not distracting. Let's get distracted by that piano, my lord. Okay. I had undertaken with my companion to see it out, and I was under a charm, apparently, that could smooth away the extent and the far and difficult connections of such an effort. I was lifted aloft on a great wave of infatuation and pity. I found it simple in my ignorance, my confusion, and perhaps my conceit, to assume that I could deal with a boy whose education for the world was all on the point of beginning. I am unable even to remember at this day what proposal I framed for the end of his holidays and the resumption of his studies. Lessons with me, indeed, that charming summer. We all had a theory that he was to have, but I now feel that, for weeks, the lessons must have been rather my own. I learned something, at first, certainly, that had not been one of the teachings of my small, smothered life. Learned to be amused, and even amusing, and not to think for the morrow. It was the first time, in a manner, that I had known space and air and freedom, all the music of summer and all the mystery of nature. And then there was consideration, and consideration was sweet. Oh, it was a trap, not designed, but deep, to my imagination, to my delicacy, perhaps to my vanity, to whatever in me was most excitable. The best way to picture it all is to say that I was off my guard. They gave me so little trouble. They were of a gentleness so extraordinary. I used to speculate, but even this with a dim disconnectedness, as to how the rough future, for all futures are rough, would handle them and might bruise them. They had the bloom of health and happiness, and yet, as if I had been in charge of a pair of little grandees, of princes of the blood, for whom everything to be right would have to be enclosed and protected. The only form that, in my fancy, the after years could take for them was that of a romantic, a really royal extension of the garden and the park. It may be, of course, above all, that what suddenly broke into this gives the previous time a charm of stillness, that hush in which something gathers or crouches. The change was actually like the spring of a beast. In the first weeks, the days were long. They often, at their finest, gave me what I used to call my own hour. The hour when, for my pupils, tea time and bedtime having come and gone, I had, before my final retirement, a small interval alone. Much as I liked my companions, this hour was the thing in the day I liked most. And I liked it best of all when, as the light faded, or rather, I should say, the day lingered and the last calls of the last bird sounded in a flushed sky from the old trees, I could take a turn into the grounds and enjoy, almost with a sense of property that amused and flattered me, the beauty and dignity of the place. It was a pleasure at these moments to feel myself tranquil and justified. Doubtless, perhaps, also to reflect that by my discretion, my quiet good sense and general high propriety, I was giving pleasure, if he ever thought of it, to the person to whose pressure I had responded. What I was doing was what he had earnestly hoped and directly asked of me, and that I could, after all, do it proved even a greater joy than I had expected. I dare say I fancied myself, in short, a remarkable young woman, and took comfort in the faith that this would more publicly appear. Well, I needed to be remarkable to offer affront to the remarkable things that presently gave their first sign. It was plump one afternoon, in the middle of my very hour. The children were tucked away, and I had come out for my stroll. One of the thoughts that, as I don't in the least shrink now from noting, used to be with me in these wanderings, was that it would be as charming as a charming story suddenly to meet someone. Someone would appear there at the turn of a path and would stand before me and smile and approve. I didn't ask more than that. I only asked that he should know. And the only way to be sure he knew would be to see it. And the kind light of it in his handsome face. That was exactly present to me, by which I mean the face was, when, on the first of these occasions, at the end of a long June day, I stopped short on emerging from one of the plantations and coming into view of the house. What arrested me on the spot, and with a shock much greater than any vision had allowed for, was the sense that my imagination had, in a flash, turned real. He didn't stand there, but high up, beyond the lawn and at the very top of the tower to which, on that first morning, little Flora had conducted me. This tower was one of a pair, square, incongruous, crenellated structures that were distinguished for some reason, though I could see little difference as the new and the cold and the old. I can read, I promise. What? I don't understand what that means. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Thank you for the hydrate. No. No, thank you. Oh, I almost burped. Okay. They flanked opposite ends of the house and were probably architectural absurdities, redeemed in a measure indeed by not being wholly disengaged nor of a height too pretentious. Dating, in their gingerbread antiquity, from a romantic revival that was already a respectable past. I admired them, had fancies about them, for we could all profit in a degree, especially when they loomed through the dusk, by the grandeur of their actual battlements. Yet it was not at such an elevation that the figure I had so often invoked seemed most in place. Drop it or get a timeout. That's all. That's all. That's the last I want to hear of it. Yeah, that's all. It produced in me this figure in the clear twilight. I remember 2 distinct gasps of emotion, which were sharply the shock of my first and that of my second surprise. My second was a violent perception of the mistake of my first. The man who met my eyes was not the person I had was not the person I had precipitately supposed. There came to me thus a bewilderment of vision of which, after these years, there is no living view that I can hope to give. An unknown man in a lonely place is a permitted object of fear to a young woman privately bred. And the figure that faced me was, a few more seconds assured me, as little anyone else I knew as it was the image that had been in my mind. For what now? Don't make me say it again, please. I had not seen it in Harley Street. I had not seen it anywhere. The place, moreover, in the strangest way in the world, had, on the instant, and by the very fact of its appearance, become a solitude. To me, at least, making my statement here with the deliberation with which I have never made it, the whole feeling of the moment returns. It was as if, while I took in what I did take in, all the rest of the scene had been stricken with death. I can hear again, as I write, the intense hush in which the sounds of evening dropped. The rooks stopped cawing in the golden sky, and the friendly hour lost, for the minute, all its voice. But there was no other change in nature, unless indeed it were a change that I saw with a stranger sharpness. The gold was still in the sky, the clearness in the air, and the man who looked at me over the battlements was as definite as a picture in a frame. That's how I thought, with extraordinary quickness, of each person that he might have been and that he was not. We were confronted across our distance quite long enough for me to ask myself, with intensity, who then he was, and to feel, as an effect of my inability to say, a wonder that, in a few instants, more became intense. What is this? Perthipithation. Hi, Simple Goo. Welcome in. The rook chess piece. I ate pawn as a kid. Please. God, do we need to warn Shrimpy? It's rain and snow and shit. Yes, yes. Parasol, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Oh, God. The great question, or one of these, is afterward, I know, with regard to certain matters, the question of how long they have lasted. Well, this matter of mine, think what you will of it, lasted while I caught at a dozen possibilities, none of which made a difference for the better, that I could see, in their having been in the house, and for how long above all, a person of whom I was in ignorance. It lasted while I just bridled a little, with a sense that my office demanded that there should be no such no such ignorance and no such person. Oh my god. Between trying to read and burping, like, oh, okay. Yeah, you get those snacks. You get those snackies. I can't break script, I can't read. It lasted while this visitant, at all events, and there was a touch of the strange freedom, as I remember, in the sign of familiarity of his wearing no hat, seemed to fix me, from his position, with just the question, just the scrutiny through the fading light, that his own presence provoked. We were too far apart to call to each other, but there was a moment at which, at shorter range, some challenge between us, breaking the hush, would have been the right result of our straight mutual stare. He was in one of the angles, the one away from the house, very erect as it struck me, and with both hands on the ledge. So I saw him as I see the letters I form on this page. Then, exactly, after a minute, as if to add to the spectacle, he slowly changed his place, passed, looking at me hard all the while, to the opposite corner of the platform. Yes, I had the sharpest sense that during this transit, he never took his eyes from me, and I can see at this moment the way his hand, as he went, passed from one of the crenellations to the next. He stopped at the other corner, but less long, and even as he turned away, still markedly fixed me. He turned away. That was all I knew. Interesting, interesting. I was gifted a sub, but wasn't even fault. Yeah, we've had some very, very generous people. Roar Twitch. Thank you so much for the follow. That's a cute name. Yeah, very, very, very generous people. Chapter 4. It was not that I didn't wait, on this occasion, for more, for I was rooted as deeply as I was shaken. Was there a secret at Bly? A mystery of Udolpho, or an insane and unmentionable relative kept in unsuspected confinement? I can't say how long I turned it over. or how long, or how long, in a confusion of curiosity and dread, I remained where I had my collision. I only recall that when I re-entered the house, darkness had quite closed in. Agitation in the interval certainly had held me and driven me, for I must, in circling about the place, have walked 3 miles. But I was to be later on so much more overwhelmed that this mere dawn of alarm was a comparatively human chill. The most singular part of it, in fact, singular as the rest had been, was the part I became in the hall, aware of in meeting Mrs. Gross. This picture comes back to me in the general train, the impression, as I received it on my return, of the wide white paneled space, bright in the lamplight and with its portraits and red carpet, and of the good surprised look of my friend, which immediately told me she had missed me. It came to me straightway, under her contact, that, with plain heartiness, mere relieved anxiety at my appearance, she knew nothing whatever that could bear upon the incident I had there ready for her. I had not suspected in advance that her comfortable face would pull me up, and I somehow measured the importance of what I had seen by my thus finding myself hesitate to mention it. At 11:11, the clock, I swear to God. I don't cut people's ears off, stop it. I'm paranoid. Scarce anything in the whole history seems to me so odd as this fact that my real beginning of fear was one, as I may say, with the instinct of sparing my companion. On the spot, accordingly, in the pleasant hall and with her eyes on me, I, for a reason that I couldn't then have phrased, achieved an inward resolution, offered a vague pretext for my lateness, and, with the plea of the beauty of the night and of the heavy dew and wet feet, went as soon as possible to my room. 13 minutes early to 11 minutes late. Yeah, my mom adjusted it, but I don't think she understands what she's doing with it. We're reading Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Here it was another affair. Here, for many days after. Why am I in a jar? Aggie, why? Yeah, we finished Jekyll and Hyde. We finished that a while ago, and we read Carmilla after that. Oh, excuse me. Because reasons, okay. Yeah, I think because I'm forever playing catch up on the VOD channel, like on YouTube. Like you can still watch those VODs on Twitch for now. But they do have like an expiration date, so I'm working on getting everything up on YouTube. I like half listen. I'm too tired to pay attention after working for. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. 11 hours. It's harsh. Okay, here we go. Here it was another affair. Here, for many days after, it was a queer affair enough. There were hours from day to day, or at least there were moments, snatched even from clear duties, when I had to shut myself up to think. It was not so much yet that I was more nervous than I could bear to be, as that I was remarkably afraid of becoming so. For the truth I had now to turn over was, simply and clearly, the truth that I could arrive at no account whatever of the visitor with whom I had been so inexplicably and yet, as it seemed to me, so intimately concerned. It took little time to see that I could sound without forms of inquiry and without exciting remark and any domestic complications. The shock I had suffered must have sharpened all my senses. I felt sure, at the end of 3 days and as the result of mere closer attention, that I had not been practiced upon by the servants nor made the object of any game. Of whatever it was that I knew, nothing was known around me. There was but one sane inference. Someone had taken a liberty rather gross. That was what repeatedly I dipped into my room and locked the door to say to myself. We had been, collectively, subject to an intrusion. Some unscrupulous traveler, curious in old houses, had made his way in unobserved, enjoyed the prospect from the best point of view, and then stolen out as he came. If he had given me such a bold, hard stare, that was but a part of his indiscretion. The good thing, after all, was that we should surely see no more of him. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. You're gonna make me stop. What? Oh no. Your job is shoveling in snowstorm. Oh no. I'm so sorry. I mean, fucking good for you, but oh. Yeah. I love snow. Snow is still magic to me, so I would cry. I would cry so hard. This was not so good a thing, I admit, as not to leave me to judge that what, essentially, made nothing else much signify was simply my charming work. My charming work was just my life with Miles and Flora, and through nothing could I so like it as through feeling that I could throw myself into it in trouble. The attraction of my small charges was a constant joy, leading me to wonder afresh at the vanity of my original fears, the distaste I had begun by entertaining for the probable grey prose of my office. There was to be no grey prose, it appeared, and no long grind. So how could work not be charming that presented itself as daily beauty? It was all the romance of the nursery and the poetry of the schoolroom. I don't mean by this, of course, that we studied only fiction and verse. I mean, I can express no otherwise the sort of interest my companions inspired. How can I describe that except by saying that instead of growing used to them, and it's a marvel for a governess, I call the sisterhood to witness, I made constant fresh discoveries. There was one direction, assuredly, in which these discoveries stopped. Deep obscurity continued to cover the region of the boys' conduct at school. It had been promptly given me, I have noted, to face that mystery without a pang. Perhaps even it would be nearer the truth to say that, without a word, he himself had cleared it up. He had made the whole charge absurd. My conclusion bloomed there with the real rose flush of his innocence. He was, oh bless you, Goodness. Oh, goodness me. Oh, bless you. Little cat. Little kitty cat. Hey, 3 stream streak. Let's fucking go. Roberto, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. Hi, Carrot. Aww. Little guy's now promptly cleaning his face like, what the fuck just happened to me? Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? My conclusion blew him there with the real rose flesh of his innocence. He was only too fine and fair for the little horrid, unclean school world, and he had paid a price for it. I reflected acutely that the sense of such differences, such superiorities of quality, always on the part of the majority, which could include even stupid, sordid headmasters, turn infallibly to the vindictive. Both the children had a gentleness. It was their only fault, and it never made Miles a muff. Excuse me, that kept them. How shall I express it? Excuse me. Almost impersonal and certainly quite unpunishable. I guess everyone's sneezing right now. I don't know if that's I feel like that's probably being picked up on mic. I'm just hearing "Achow!" Someone being burned. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh god. Okay. Let's focus. How shall I express it? Casual ambience here. Yeah. It was so faint off in the distance too. At least it was faint. Oh. They were like the cherubs of the anecdote, who had, morally, at any rate, nothing to whack. I remember feeling with Miles in especial as if he had, as it were, no history. We expect of a small child a scant one, but there was in this beautiful little boy something extraordinarily sensitive, yet extraordinarily happy, that, more than in any creature of his age I have seen, struck me as a beginning anew each day. He had never for a second suffered. I took this as a direct disproof of his having really been chastised. My background is a little noisy right now. If he had been wicked, he would have caught it, and I should have caught it by the rebound. I should have found the trace. I found nothing at all, and he was therefore an angel. He never spoke of his school, never mentioned a comrade or a master, and I, for my part, was quite too much disgusted to allude to them. Of course I was under the spell, and the wonderful part is that, even at the time, I perfectly knew I was. But I gave myself up to it. It was an antidote to any pain, and I had more pains than one. I was in receipt in these days of disturbing letters from home, where things were not going well. But with my children, what things in the world mattered? That was the question I used to put to my scrappy retirements. I was dazzled by their loveliness. There was a Sunday to get on when it rained with such force and for so many hours that there could be no procession to church, in consequence of which, as the day declined, I had arranged with Mrs. Gross that, should the evening show improvement, we would we would attend together the late service. See, my allergies are not the only ones that have been suffering. 1010 voice and delivery. Thank you so much. And thank you for the follow. I really appreciate that. My goodness. The rain happily stopped. Sending a chill pill through the virtual mail. Oh my goodness. Yes. The rain happily stopped, and I prepared for our walk, which, through the park and by the good road to the village, would be a matter of 20 minutes. Coming downstairs to meet my colleague in the hall, I remembered a pair of gloves that had required 3 stitches and that had received them, with a publicity perhaps not edifying, while I sat with the children at their tea, served on Sundays, by exception, in that cold, clean temple of mahogany and brass, the grown-up dining room. The gloves had been dropped there. Lone Wolf, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. The gloves had been dropped there, and I turned in to recover them. The day was gray enough, but the afternoon light still lingered, and it enabled me, on crossing the threshold, not only to recognize on a chair near the wide window, then closed, the articles I wanted, but to become aware of a person on the other side of the window and looking straight in. One step into the room had sufficed. My vision was instantaneous. It was all there. The person looking straight in was the person who had already appeared to me. He appeared thus again with, I won't say greater distinctness, for that was impossible, but with a nearness that represented a forward stride in our intercourse and made me, as I met him, catch my breath and turn cold. He was the same. He was the same and seen, this time, as he had been seen before, from the waist up and, from the waist up, the window, though the dining room was on the ground floor, not going down to the terrace on which he stood. His face was close to the glass, yet the effect of this better view was, strangely, only to show me how intense the former had been. He remained but a few seconds, long enough to convince me he also saw and recognized me. But it was as if I had been looking at him for years and had known him always. Something, however, happened this time that had not happened before. His stare into my face, through the glass and across the room, was as deep and hard as then, but it quitted me for a moment during which I could still watch it, see it fix successively several other things. On the spot, there came to me the added shock of a certitude that it was not for me he had come there. He had come for someone else. Oh, the recommended redeem. That's so funny. Banshee always uses me. Hashtag I'm the victim is wild. Hashtag DoorDash. mm. The flash of this knowledge. For it was knowledge in the midst of dread, produced in me the most extraordinary effect. Started as I stood there, a sudden vibration of duty and courage. I say courage because I was beyond all doubt already far gone. I bounded straight out of the door again, reached that of the house, got in an instant upon the drive, and passing along the terrace as fast as I could rush, turned a corner and came full in sight. But it was in sight of nothing now. My visitor had vanished. I stopped. I almost dropped with the real relief of this, but I took in the whole scene. I gave him time to reappear. I call it time, but how long was it? I can't speak to the purpose today of the duration of these things. That kind of measure must have left me. They couldn't have lasted as they actually appeared to me to last. The terrace and the whole place, the lawn and the garden beyond it, all I could see of the park were empty with a great emptiness. There were shrubberies and big trees, but I remember the clear assurance I felt that none of them concealed him. He was there or was not there. Not there if I didn't see him. I got hold of this then, instinctively, instead of returning as I had come, went to the window. It was confusedly present to me that I ought to place myself where he had stood. I did so. I applied my face to the pane and looked as he had looked into the room, as if at this moment to show me exactly what his range had been. Mrs. Gross, as I had done for himself just before, came in from the hall. With this, I had the full image of a repetition of what had already occurred. She saw me as I had seen my own visitant. She pulled up short as I had done. I gave her something of the shock that I had received. She turned white, and this made me ask myself if I had blanched as myself, or blanched as much. She stared, in short, and retreated on just my lines. And I knew she had then passed out and come round to me, and that I should presently meet her. I remained where I was, and while I waited, I thought of more things than one. But there's only one I take space to mention. I wondered why she should be scared. We're starting to get into the interesting bits, I do believe. How far does this one go? I think we might be able to knock out one more chapter, maybe? Maybe. Let's see. What do you have? You say you had apple fritters? Yeah, I got the DoorDash reference. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Oh my goodness. Ah. Mmm. Chips and apple fritter. Oh, yum. Yum, yum, yum. Just keep the apple fritter on y'all's side of chat. I don't I'm not a big fan of baked apple stuff, but apple fritters kind of it kind of fucks, I gotta say. Like it's kind of delicious. It's kind of delicious. Mm. Chapter 5. Oh, she let me know as soon as, round the corner of the house, she loomed again into view. What in the name of goodness is the matter? She was now flushed and out of breath. I said nothing till she came quite near. With me? I must have made a wonderful face. Do I show it? You're as white as a sheet. You look awful. Crullers are good too. Yes, they are. I considered I could meet on this, without scruple, any innocence. My need to respect the bloom of Mrs. Gross's had dropped, without a rustle, from my shoulders, and if I wavered for the instant it was not with what I kept back. I put out my hand to her, and she took it. I held her hard a little, liking to feel her close to me. There was a kind of support in the shy heave of her surprise. You came for me for church, of course, but I can't go. Has anything happened? Yes, you must know now. Did I look very queer? Through this window? Dreadful. Well, I said, I've been frightened. Oh, you work near a donut shop? That's cool. Oh, that would be... I would love and hate that at the same time. I would love and hate that. I've been frightened. Mrs. Gross's eyes expressed plainly that she had no wish to be, yet also that she knew too well her place not to be ready to share with me any marked inconvenience. Oh, it was quite settled that she must share. Just what you saw from the dining room a minute ago was the effect of that. What I saw just before was much worse. Her hand tightened. What was it? An extraordinary man looking in. What extraordinary man? I haven't the least idea. Mrs. Gross gazed around us in vain. Then where has he gone? I know still less. Have you seen him before? Yes, once, on the old tower. She could only look at me harder. Do you mean he's a stranger? Oh, very much. Yet you didn't tell me. No, for reasons. But now that you've guessed... Mrs. Gross's round eyes encountered this charge. I haven't guessed, she said very simply. How can I if you don't imagine? I get sandwiches there for lunch and they give me stuff for free. Oh, yum. That sounds amazing. I don't in the very least. You've seen him nowhere but on the tower. And on this spot just now. Mrs. Gross looked round again. What was he doing on the tower? Only standing there and looking down at me. She thought a minute. Was he a gentleman? I found I had no need to think. No. She gazed in deeper wonder. No. Then nobody about the place? Nobody from the village? Nobody. Nobody. I didn't tell you, but I made sure. She breathed a vague relief. This was oddly so much to the good. It only went indeed a little way. But if he isn't a gentleman, what is he? He's a horror. A horror? He's... God help me if I know what he is. Mrs. Gross looked round once more. She fixed her eyes on the duskier distance, then, pulling herself together, turned to me with abrupt inconsequence. It's time. Ken, please. Horror. Horror. It's time we should be at church. Oh, I'm not fit for church. Won't it? You're fine. You're fine. That was funny. Won't it do you good? It won't do them. I nodded at the house. The children. I can't leave them now. You're afraid? I spoke boldly. I'm afraid of him. Oh my, okay. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Mrs. Gross's face. It was fun. It was funny, but I'm not gonna allow that word to be, or my mods. We're not gonna allow that word to be like, yeah. Mrs. Gross's large face showed me at this, for the first time, the faraway faint glimmer of a consciousness more acute. I somehow made out in it the delayed dawn of an idea I myself had not given her, and that was as yet quite obscure to me. It comes back to me that I thought instantly of this as something I could get from her, and I felt it to be connected with the desire she presently showed to know more. When was it? On the tower. About the middle of the month, at this same hour. Almost at dark. Oh, that's funny, Kim. Almost at dark, said Mrs. Gross. Oh no, not nearly. I saw him as I see you. Then how did he get in? And how did he get out? I laughed. I had no opportunity to ask him. This evening, you see, I pursued, he has not been able to get in. He only peeps. I hope it will be confined to that. She had now let go of my hand. She turned away a little. I waited an instant, then I brought out... I feel like I have to burp, oh my god. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Flopsy! Flopsy, hello. Hello there, Snuggle Attack. That's adorable. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in, Flopsy. How was your stream? How was your stream? You did the ASMR. You did the ASMR. I'm sure you did it real good. 8 hours. 8 hours? Excuse me? Oh dear lord. Please. Please. You must be so exhausted. That is a lot of stamina. I could never. Please go. Yeah, that's super impressive. Get yourself some water. Do the aftercare. Do some breathing. Yeah. Get some rest, please. And thank you so much for the raid. She stopped at the 740 mark. That's still crazy though. My idol, my hero. Yeah, get some noms, please. Thank you again so much for the raid. And for those of you who are still around, if you don't know me, yeah, please pass out and get some eeps. My name is Banshee. I'm a ghost. I'm not scary. I'm not scary. Don't let my chat fool you. We do ASMR, we do reading streams, which is what we're doing right now, and we do very poor, very excellent gameplay of the horror variety. Luna, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. I hope you're doing good. And yeah, we're just reading. We're reading some The Turn of the Screw right now. which is, if you've seen The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix, that's what that was adapted based on. The what of the what? The turn of a screw. Yeah, nice to meet you officially. I'm not scary. Can't operate heavy machinery while yeah. Yeah, I guess we can say that. But yeah, if you're still here, the Lucid Librarian, thank you so much for the follow. Yeah, just get nice and comfy. We're wrapping up. We're close to wrapping up. We're finishing up, but I swear I can talk, I can speak. We're finishing up the chapter that we're on right now. Call you Lucid. Well, nice to meet you, Lucid. Hi, welcome in. Okay, then how did he get in? And how did he get out? I laughed. I had no opportunity to ask him. This evening, you see, I pursued, he has not been able to get in. He only peeps. I hope it will be confined to that. I've already read this, oh well, that's okay. She had now let go of my hand. She turned away a little. I waited an instant, then I brought out, go to church. Goodbye. I must watch. Slowly, she faced me again. Do you fear for them? We met in another long look. Don't you? Instead of answering, she came nearer to the window and, for a minute, applied her face to the glass. You see how he could see, I meanwhile went on. She didn't move. How long was he here? Till I came out, I came to meet him. Mrs. Gross at last turned round, and there was still more in her face. I couldn't have come out. Neither could I laughed again, but I did come. I have my duty. So have I mine, she replied, after which she added, what is he like? I've been dying to tell you, but he's like nobody. Nobody? She echoed. Had a chromatic eyes, but yes. Yeah, see, look. They're also reactive. He has no hat. Then seeing in her face that she already, in this, with a deeper dismay, found a touch of picture, I quickly added stroke to stroke. He has red hair, very red, close curling, and a pale face, long in shape, with straight, good features and little, rather queer whiskers that are as red as his hair. His eyebrows are, somehow, darker. They look particularly arched and as if they might move a good deal. His eyes are sharp, strange, awfully, but I only know clearly that they're rather small and very fixed. His mouth's wide, and his lips are thin, and except for his little whiskers, he's quite clean-shaven. He gives me a sort of sense of looking like an actor. An actor? It was impossible to resemble one less, at least, than Mrs. Gross at that moment. I've never seen one, but so I suppose them. He's tall, active, I continued, but never, no, never a gentleman. My companion's face had blanched as I went on. Her round eyes started and her mild mouth gaped. A gentleman, she gasped, confounded, stupefied. A gentleman, he? You know him, then? She visibly tried to hold herself, but he is handsome. I saw the way to help her, remarkably, and dressed in somebody's clothes. They're smart, but they're not his own. She broke into a breathless, affirmative groan. They're the masters. I caught it up. You do know him. She faltered but a second. Quint, she cried. Quint? Peter Quint, his own man, his valet, when he was here, when the master was. Gaping still, but meeting me, she pieced it all together. He never wore his hat, but he did wear, well, there were waistcoats missed. They were both here last year. Then the master went and Quint was alone. Gare Bear, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing good. I followed, but halting a little. Alone. Alone with us. Then, as from a deeper depth, in charge, she added. And what became of him? She hung fire so long that I was still more mystified. He went, too, she brought out at last. Went where? Her expression at this became extraordinary. God knows where. He died. Died? I almost shrieked. She seemed fairly to square herself, planned herself more firmly to utter the wonder of it. Yes, Mr. Quint is dead. We made some good progress, I think. Did you know the great meme reset is coming and will save us all? What? What? Yeah, my goose. Yeah, that's dreamy.